following show contains adult content. It's not our intent to offend anyone, but we want to inform you that if you are a child under the age of 18 or get offended easily, this next show may not be for you. The content, opinions, and subject matter of these shows are solely the choice of your show hosts and their guests, and not those of the Entertainment Network or any affiliated stations. Any comments or inquiries should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for listening.
Hey everyone, and welcome to 50 Shades of Bullshit. I'm your host, Christine Lalonde, and this is the podcast where we uncover the truth about online dating. Now let's begin.
Hey, I'm Christine.
And I'm Gabby.
And this is 50 Shades of Bullshit.
Bullshit.
Bullshit. Hi, Gabby.
Hi.
You're back. You're back.
Yes, I am back. I'm back. It's been a wild ride, so I apologize, but the shows I've listened to have been amazing.
Yeah. You don't bullshit me. You haven't even listened.
I truly have. Don't be a dick.
I am a dick. That's the problem.
Oh,
That's how
you.
Yeah, that's you love me.
I do. I do.
So how's your week been?
Week has been busy. Good. It's hot and humid out in Wisconsin. So having the air go full blast, it's just gross. Humidity sucks.
Well, there's no humidity here, but it's really hot, and I was sweating balls today. So I have this weird thing. I have really noticed that I've had this weird lispy thing with my S's lately. The last few days, I think I'm having a stroke or something. I don't know what the motherfuck is going on. I don't like it. I'm like,
Start practicing the
yeah. Maybe that's why I'm out of practice or something. I don't know.
Maybe.
Well,
lisp. That's interesting. Okay.
It's like this S weird thing. I don't know. I'm super conscientious of it, and I feel like I don't know. I'm stroking. I'm stroking out.
It's still amazing. It's still fabulous.
I am. I'm stroking out. So today we are talking about you being the one, because Gabby, you're the one.
You're still the one. Oh, there you go, Shania. Wow. Yeah. I was breaking out in my Shania. I know. I'll stick to my day job.
Okay. Yeah. Well, today we are talking about being the one that you've been waiting for. It's about before you find the one, that you should become the one. And we talk about this like quite often, but I'm really excited that we have a relationship therapist to come on and actually talk about it. She's awesome. But
interesting.
I used to, everybody knows my opinion from the past about how I used to think it was such bullshit to love yourself first or be the one for yourself. I thought it was a bunch of hoo-ha. But I really believe it. I have come over to the other side.
I believe it's the right message. However, society has been teaching us since we were little girls to find that Prince Charming. Being single is a negative, perception. Wait, you're single? Aw, it's so I really love this kind of, empowerment and you really do have to love yourself, but that's never been a message and until really, I feel like later in life, we really go you know what, screw this. I'm a cool person and I love myself.
Yeah. I okay. We've got some really bad feedback.
I don't hear anything.
Oh, Jason, is it just me or is it the whole show? Jason's ignoring me.
It just went away.
Okay, good. All right. So, so this is the thing. I watch Married at First Sight. Okay. Now everybody knows, I've talked about it a million times. I produce and direct, podcasts, obviously, but unscripted series, docuseries, and documentaries. And so really, I try to pretend that all of watching those shows are research, but I love them.
I do too.
And Married at First Sight, I think it was not the current season we're in. It was like 2 seasons ago. They happen so quick now.
I know.
That one of the girls said she dated herself. She was dating herself for the last X amount of years. And one of the therapist relationship coaches was saying, made a funny face. And I thought, no, she's supposed to date herself. And that's really a lot of what we talk about on this show is, finding yourself, dating yourself, be the one for yourself, and things like that. Because until you can know those things, you can't know another person. You have to know where you are to bring in that right person. And both of us have really worked on that, I think. Don't you think? We really worked on that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Since the beginning of this show, 100%, I believe, is really, what's the word I'm looking for? Because I have pregnancy brain. Expedited that process.
Right. Well, I think that helped us a lot because we both are now in our personal lives. We've found our significant others, I believe.
Yes.
So I think it really helped. So yeah, that's how I feel about this episode. But
I'm super excited to hear about this relationship coach and really kind of her experience with her clients and how she kind of is focusing. I'm so excited about this person.
Well, one of the things that damn it, there's that echo again. Jason, God bless America. Is it just me?
God bless America. That's all I know. Just kidding.
It might be your speaker.
My speaker?
Yeah. It's your computer, I think. Anyway, maybe turn it down just a teeny tiny bit because I'm getting feedback. Anyway, let's talk about this for a second. So one of the things that Talia says in her information that she sent me was when you're increasing your self-worth and spending time creating a fulfilling relationship within yourself, and it helps you be the person you need to be for the person that needs to be in your life. And then you start to recognize the right people that are supposed to be there. And because I think like a lot of our other coaches said, you have to know what you want before that person will present themselves to you. But I think Talia is on the right path. She's saying you have to know it within yourself first. So let me tell you about Talia Bombola. I love her name, Bombola. She sounds very Italian, so we'll see. She is the confidence and assertive specialist. She's a relationship coach for women and licensed marriage family therapist. She centers her work around helping anxious and controlling women know how to feel at ease and understand themselves within relationships. Talia works with women to heal their patterns of feeling not enough or too much and rewire their beliefs about men and relationships. She is, I love her. She is really beautiful. I could go on and on and on about her, but I really want her to come on and tell more about herself and why she does what she does. So let's
perfect,
bring in
because I'm
Talia.
her staple client.
Hi, Talia.
Hi, how are you both?
We're good.
Great.
It's so hot in California. I'm sweating right now.
It is warm. It's definitely toasty.
Excuse me, it's 90 degrees here and 67% humidity. Okay, so let's discuss. Let's have a conversation. But Talia, I am your cookie cutter from that description client.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell me more?
Oh my God, do you have an hour? Just kidding. No, I'm so interested in having you on and you telling us what you do.
Yeah.
Well, Talia, you nailed it for me. For me, it was the two phrases, I'm not enough or I'm too much. And I have used those two phrases so much that I always felt like I was in this gray zone in the middle that I could never be in the right place. So I'm dying to hear more about who you are, what you do, why you do it. So let's start with that kind of thing.
Okay. So yes, I'm Italian. You got my name right earlier.
Yeah.
My name is Talia Bombola. I'm a licensed marriage family therapist, and I'm also a relationship coach / mentor. people just call me Talia, though. I feel like the titles just kind of fall away once we start working together in any capacity. And I, as you mentioned, center my work around helping women. I also work with couples in my therapy practice, but mostly women who don't really have a good sense of themselves, or they've been listening to everybody else telling them who they should be and who they shouldn't be. And that's what leads you to feel like you're too much and not enough, because you're so reliant on hearing other people tell you who you should be and fit in their narratives and fit in their lives, instead of taking the confident and assertive approach, which that's where my specialization comes from, in confidence and assertiveness. You need to stand up for yourself, and you need to set those boundaries and be more immunized to people being upset with that, because if they don't like you, they're not for you. And having that come from within. So what got me started in all of this years and years ago was my own therapy, and my own therapist being kind of that lighthouse and that guidepost for me to learn. And as I got older, it just felt natural to do that as a profession, and I dedicated my whole life to that. I feel like I emulate a lot of that in my personal life as well, and that then translated onto social media and podcast interviews and everything else, really transpiring from that core sense of self and realizing not everybody had that. And I had that and had it, taken and chipped away at for many years. And then I had to regain it. And I think reclaiming that and regaining it, the strength that it takes to keep that going when it's been taken from you, it's like nobody's touching this anymore. Like nobody's going to make me question my worth ever again until the day I die. And that's how I make my clients feel. And it's that like meme from, I think it's Jamie Lee Curtis, and she's giving a chat back and forth. And it's like the screenshot, and she's like telling the person what to do. And then she sits down, and she's like all proud of herself. And I can't tell you how many of my friends have been like, that's you, building up people and their self-worth.
I love that.
I just get on them about it, because I think everybody does have inherent worth and value. And due to life experiences that we choose or that are forced upon us, we lose it along the way. And it's really sad when it doesn't come back. And that's what I love, is being able to work with my clients and speak from personal and professional experience. Like, you can get through this.
You know what I have really come to think about lately is that women have most of their lives been silenced, told they're too much, or made to feel like they weren't enough. And I think that by the way that we're talking about it now, that people are feeling like it is okay to be who they are, that they're not enough, or they aren't too much. And I also noticed a real strong women empowerment, women being there for women backing each other up, women lifting each other up without worrying about whether they're going to get to the next rung before somebody else. I think that it's been a really shift in a movement of that, and I celebrate it, and I love it. I think it's really extraordinary.
Me too.
I feel like in some way it's like, because like the word bitch always pops up when you've like set that boundary and set that expectation, where like, I feel like, as I've gotten older, like I've almost embraced that word. Like, like I've been called it, and I'm just like, all right, like it's not an insult anymore. Like when it was before, like, no, like you're not going to speak to me like this, or I know what I deserve and get out of a relationship. Oh, you're such a bitch. Fine.
And
exactly.
I took the word. Sorry. I took the word and I made it part of my vocabulary in a positive way. So when I talk to my girlfriends, I say, oh, girl, I love you, bitch. I use it as a positive, like a term of endearment so that we take the sting out of it, because it shouldn't be a bad thing. Now, if I think that someone really is horrible, I don't say the word, I spell it, but I go, that person's a real cunt. And that's my thing. I won't say it because I think it's a horrible word, but I'll spell it, which makes it a little less dramatic. But I do agree with Gabby. I think turning that around and empowering women to say, it is okay to have feelings. It's okay to express yourself. It's okay to be vivacious and outgoing, or if you're calm and cool and collective, there's no right or wrong reason or way to be.
Now, in your practice, have you seen a shift? I mean, the Me Too movement and just more empowered, the shift in women's mindsets. I mean, because when we opened the show, since I was a little girl watching Disney, it's like you find that prince and he'll make you whole, he'll make everything better. Have you noticed a kind of a shift, as I already said, because I'm smart?
I would say it's tough to say if it's a shift or not because of where I sit in the room, metaphorically and literally. I know it's inside of them. And I know that they are capable of that. And it's my role to hold that belief on their behalf until they're able to meet me there and join and have that as their belief as well. And I would say across society and across now many cultures, we have social media to thank for that. It can actually disseminate a lot of information that otherwise would have been more pocketed or more kind of boundaried within certain cities or areas, that I've noticed my clients wanting to come in more and work on it, and specifically wanting to work with me because my specializations are confidence and assertiveness. And I've had that since the start. And so I would say I have a positive bias that a lot of my clients were already working on that, but it just was more popularized over the last few years, especially when they're like, wait, I have a voice? I didn't realize that. Or I've been using my voice. And a lot of the women, it's on a spectrum. They're either very aggressive and they're trying to wall up and they're trying to use that as a defense mechanism because deep down there is that hurt, scared little girl, or they're very passive aggressive and they're very passive. Maybe not even aggressive, they're just very passive. They're used to being, let me just tacitly comply. I won't speak up for myself. The typical people pleaser, right? And there's certain archetypes for this that I can get into as well, of why certain personalities are this way from their own traits and their own upbringing, that there's the spectrum of I'm either very passive and I'll just take what I can get and I don't want to rock the boat, typically because that's the family system role that they had to fill growing up. And so why would they do anything else unless prompted? Or they're very aggressive. And the middle ground to that is being assertive, where it's you're not going to take shit from anybody, but you can let them know that in a very nice way. And you love yourself enough, you value yourself enough, the most out of anybody, that you won't let anyone take that away from you. And you'll set very strict boundaries and you'll learn to enforce very strict boundaries. So I would say, yes, I've noticed a huge shift, and I've noticed a huge shift in women wanting to do this more and being able to comfortably talk about it more and have a place to come back and be like, and they said this. And I'm like, and good for you that you still held your ground. They're like, wait, that was a good thing. I'm like, hell yes, it was a good thing. Like being their biggest cheerleader, I think is huge, that I model a lot of what they can be. And even if they take a 10th of what I recommend them to say, they're like, it still worked. And I'm like, you don't have to do it what I do. I've been doing this for years. This is my day in and day out. Like, this is who I am to the core. It's like Rainbow Fish, that kid's book. I'm like, take it scale. Like, just take a few scales, just have it and go be in the world with it. You don't have to do it to the hilt, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So tell us, Talia, in kind of, I'm sure you could go on and on about it, but tell us in your way, what is the best way that you could tell someone to try to not try, I need to take that word out, on becoming their person, their own person? How do you tell a woman to really focus on turning their life around and becoming their one? I can't speak.
I have that effect on people. No.
Yes.
I would say,
make me speechless.
if women are if you're in a relationship and you're questioning who you're in a relationship with, it's still a good idea to look inward and ask yourself, am I being clear on what I want and need? Am I actually having the conversations I'm purporting that I'm having to my friends when I gossip or this or that, or like, and then I said this and then he said that. And I always push them. I'm like, did you really though? And they're like, no, but I thought it. I'm like, okay, we need the thoughts to come out. Like that is what my role is to get up here, coming out of here to the person effectively. And then you can have a discussion. So if
you want to remove the filter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, see, I need to turn mine back on.
But that's where that range comes in, right? It's either I have no filter at all and you're going to be, because deep down, analytically, it's like, I'm just going to show you who I am, who I think that I am, and who I'm capable of being. And then if you stay, then you really love me. But that's what we need to work on healing. And then on the other end, it's like, well, I just don't want to ask for anything because I don't feel worthy of my needs even being met, or I haven't even identified them. And so that's where we need to take the filter. Like the filter just needs to be cleaned, I think is a better way to put it in either direction. And so if you're listening to this and you are in a relationship and you feel that, you know, this person isn't the one for you, do some self-inventory and ask yourself, how did I meet this person? What was I attracted to them about? You know, what were their traits? What were they doing? How did we meet? What were the situations and circumstances we got to interact early on? And is this relationship fulfilling your wants and needs? And often the shift of the self, of just the one partner doing the work, will definitely cause a ripple effect in the partnership, typically, hopefully, for the better. But sometimes when this, and I worked with a lot of women on this too, the shift of their authentic self starts to come out and they become the one that they want, and they start not settling for, you know, less than they deserve. And their relationship does not withstand treatment, as I word it. And that is a loss and it's sad. However, the sadder option, the more sad option would be living your whole life as a lie. And after having met your authentic self, shoving her back in a box.
Yes, 100%. I preach it, sister. I'm there. So there's another thing that you talk about is how men and women approach love and relationships differently. I would love to hear about this, because I think that a lot of people come on this show and they say they're going to talk about something, and we talk about it, but they never really talk about. And I really want to hear what you have to say about this topic, because I think this is interesting.
Absolutely. So to bring in some evolutionary psychology and some biology to this, we as a core, like as a human being, we have different neurotransmitters, we have different hormones, and we have different processes that make us a person, right? And so the distinct differences between men and women are typically due to estrogen and testosterone. We each have both in varying degrees, and it's to what degree they're expressed and what those hormones make us do or not do, and what those hormones make us expect or not expect out of other people. And so this is a question I've learned from mentors in the past, one specifically, but kind of what thinking to yourself when you interact with a guy or a man, who are you typically comparing him to?
For me, I always believed that we are comparing men to our fathers, or to the male roles that were in our life. So that's why I've always believed that I have attracted the wrong type of men, because I had the wrong kind of influences growing up.
See, and I'm a little different. I had my father's phenomenal. And I think I got hooked a little too much to the rom-com. Like I literally, you know, even with my boyfriend sometimes now, like I'm like, literally, I just want to hand you just read from the script. Don't go off script. Read from the script. This is exactly what I want to hear. just this is what you need to do. I mean, it's written out for you right now. Put your arm around me, like tell me I'm beautiful. Like, you know, like I feel like I kind of compare a little bit, you know, like if you're a bird, I'm a bird kind of shit. That was a Notebook reference, by the way.
Yes.
So
if you're a bird, I'm a bird.
When we're looking at it in a relationship or romantic sense, that kind of repetition compulsion to want to go over any of the unfinished business we feel like we had from childhood. Yes, we will often compare the people we are dating, right? If we're a woman, we're comparing, and we're heterosexual, we're comparing the guy to our dad or a specific archetype. But on a day-to-day relational basis, we are often the most disappointed by men when we compare them to other women or ourselves, the perfect woman.
Yes.
Right? You're so stupid
I never
compared
thought
to
about
who?
that.
You're so lazy compared to who? Why do you never help me? All this mental load stuff, and I'm not putting it in quotes to minimize it. I'm putting it in quotes to separate it.
Yeah.
The mental load in part is created by women falling victim to that belief that their job is to handle everything all at once without having to be asked, in order to hopefully gain some appreciation. And then we get resentful. But in the same vein, we're also not asking for help or feeling brave enough to ask for help and create an opportunity to either have that expectation or that need be met, or be dashed. And we don't want to be hurt. So we almost prevent ourselves from even being rejected by not even asking in the first place, thus bringing the resentment on ourselves in part. And that is completely separate if we are asking and our partner is telling us, no, no, no. But then I have to ask them, why are you staying? Right. So we compare men to other women, and we interact with them and treat them as if they have the same responses that somebody who is estrogen fueled mainly does. We do not like punishment. We are very averse to punishment, because if we were punished or if we were ostracized socially in evolutionary psychology, we were no longer in the tribe, we would die, and so would our children. So we are very shame averse. We are very risk averse typically when it comes to our interactions. And we are not motivated by the same things that men are. Men are motivated to win. Women are motivated to not be criticized. But what do we often do to get a guy to act right? And we punish and we you're misbehaving and you're going to learn. And I'm going to teach him a lesson and I'm going to criticize. To who does that motivate? Women.
Yeah.
Men are motivated by winning. So to get him to do something or to be something or to act a certain way, explain what the benefit would be to him doing that thing or stop doing something. And then he will feel motivated to meet the need rather than motivated to avoid being criticized. And then that's why a lot of couples fall off. And he is resentful silently and has just taken his role because he's like, I want to be a provider. And this is the role that I'm in, but she treats me like shit. And she's like, well, if he were just, and that's a lot of the work is like, stop. Who are you comparing him to? Oh,
that's
stop.
smart.
Who are you comparing him to? Oh,
Literally a huge light bulb. Like, I mean, it just like, that was freaking amazing because it's absolutely true. So what you're telling me is I need to go to Costco and get like a giant roll of gold stars. You're like, good job, babe. Here's a star.
What you appreciate appreciates. If you want somebody to do something, you have to positively reinforce when they do it, not complain when it doesn't get done. And a lot of the time, I just saw a reel on this the other day. I'm going to do a remix of it because it was such a gut punch when you realize how much men do want to care for us and provide for us and how much we rob them of that by emasculating them. And this is something one of my mentors, Allison, talks about a lot. We emasculate ourselves as women and our own masculine energy, and we emasculate men because and this is my thought on it, the research I've done, if I feel threatened by something, I want to make it small or I don't want to feel threatened by it. So I'll almost have a dick measuring contest, not to be crude, but I'll have a dick measuring contest with my partner and try and outman him and out provide for myself because I want him to see, look, I actually don't need you. That's not going to make him want to stay or provide if he looks and goes, well, you seem to have everything you need. What would I give you? So I think a lot of it is rewiring that and understanding when you give someone appreciation for something and when you're genuine about it, it makes them click and go, I did this thing. I was loved for it. I feel good in the relationship. And that's the cycle that we go on versus they bring you home. And we grew up with really critical parents. So this is really where we learn it from too. If we were ever asked to go get something from the grocery store or do something and we come home and our parent, mom or dad is like, you didn't get the milk? Can I have a thank you for the 9 other things I did get you? What the heck, right? We're so conditioned to be like, you did this wrong. You did this bad. Shame. And in parenting in therapeutic terms, parenting based off injunctions is a lot of don't do this, stop doing that. No, stop, don't, negative. Permissions, parenting out of permissions are, why don't we try this instead? This is what we ought to do, not in a shame, like should do this, but like this would be of benefit to you. Let's try this. It's a more allowance versus restriction, depending on how we're parented, mixed with our hardwiring. That's a recipe for what you're going to be like in a relationship. And you have to go against your instinctual drives because it's going to be the downfall if you don't.
I'm literally like Christine, like preach, like where can I join your church?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're talking directly to me. I feel it.
Yeah. You know what I do as you're talking, I realized in my marriage, I've been divorced for a while and I've really, worked hard to change my patterns, but I knew that in my past, and I hope to God I don't do this now. I really hope I don't. But I noticed in the past that I used to think that if I treated somebody a certain way, that they were going to treat me back the same way. So if I was like being romantic and loving and positive talk to them, that it would come back to me, and it never did, because we as women treat a certain way, men as men treat other people like women a different way. Their love languages are sometimes different.
That's something of note as well, depending on someone's love language, which either stems from what you got a lot of in childhood and really enjoyed, or did not get in childhood, and therefore it's a lack, and you're trying to fulfill that need as an adult. A lot of what we do in relationships as adults is try and meet our unmet childhood needs and try and fill them some way. And it can be very healthy. It doesn't mean that's a negative thing. If we're not aware of our partner's love language, of their apology language, of their personality style, of the traits that they have, how much they express them, their differences, and appreciating their differences and not demonizing them for not being us, I would drive myself nuts. And I've said that to many clients, and my partner knows that too. I don't want to date a me. And somebody had commented, do you think some empowered, strong women secretly want men to play the traditional dominant role? I don't think it's a secret. I think they absolutely want the person to play that role. And what therapeutically, what we're doing, if I look at it like that, I'm modeling, not maybe verbally, but I'm modeling explicitly what I really want from another person. However, if a guy is coming into your life and sees that, he's going to go, okay, she's got it handled. He's not going to read between the lines like a woman does and go, oh, maybe she wants me to do that thing. Because what do we get chosen for if we do that with other girls? Now I'm her best friend. I was her friend first, but now I read all these subconscious things that she was sending me, and the different tone and pitch, the way that male brains are structured, they tune our voices out like it's music. That's literally how it sounds to them. And so they're not reading between the lines, and they don't know the passive aggressive tone pitches of like, oh my gosh, that is such a cute dress versus that's a cute dress. They would hear no difference. None at all. Gotcha. It's not, they don't relate in the same way. And so when they see what we're doing, they think we like it. And they're like, why would I stop you? Same thing with planning. That is one of the main things I work on with women being frustrated. He never plans. Are you allowing him space to? Well, no, because what if he does it wrong? I'm like, well, there's your problem. You brought this on yourself. And I say it lovingly. If you don't make space for the person to do what you want them to do that you are currently doing, they will not do it because you're holding on to it like this and clutching it. And if you tried, obviously if you're a person, if you tried to grab this for me, could you get it? No, I have to set it down equally in between us to leave energetic space for the person to pick that task up and to reclaim those masculine traits. But if I'm afraid deep down that I'm going to be abandoned or let down like my dad did, or like a previous partner did, or like I fear, because I've learned that, right? Why would I ever give you the opportunity to hurt me? And that's really, I think, what it comes down to, in at least my clinical practice that I see. I don't want to be hurt so much so that I will either hurt you or inadvertently hurt myself to prevent the possibility that you will disappoint me.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I'm in a new relationship. And I found, I caught myself, I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before. I caught myself doing something very similar to that. I caught myself almost pushing the envelope to say, well, I'm going to ruin this. Like subconsciously, I think I was trying to ruin something so that I wouldn't get hurt.
Self-sabotage.
Thank you. God bless America.
This is why you have me around, babe. I understand.
I couldn't say it. I was almost trying to self-sabotage, and I caught it, and I did catch it, and I backpedaled, and I said, "Hey, look, I kind of was doing this, and I didn't mean to, and I caught it. You know, I apologize for how I just behaved, and let me realign this in my head." So I tried to do that. I hope I did it, enough that he understood. He understands me a lot.
Good.
Yeah, he's very patient and understanding of my traumas and my past and my PTSD. He really gets that. He's very loving and patient with it. So I'm very grateful. So I try hard to, but still,
we're only human. And
I find myself doing it. Yeah.
Right. We have to understand, and this is the part of the blend of these two concepts that I basically have dedicated every waking hour of my life to, that if you own what you are afraid of or ashamed of about yourself, another person can't use it against you. Right.
Right.
So if I'm aware of what I've grown from and what I've healed from and what's happened to me that either I brought on myself, and I'm a big fan of not victimizing, like people not victimizing themselves. And a lot of people get stuck in that victim position. And Cartman's drama triangle, there's a rescuer, there's a perpetrator, and there's a victim. And sometimes people are their own perpetrator of their own victimization. And yes, that's going to trigger some people. That's fine. Do with it what you will. But it's the honest truth. Sometimes if we continue to perpetuate keeping ourselves when we could leave in something that's bad for us and that chips away at our self-worth, what are you getting from that? What are you getting from that role? Why is it familiar? Why are you staying? And that blend of men and women being uniquely different and honoring the differences mixed with the self-worth, self-esteem becoming the one. If I own it about myself, then my partner can be more patient and understanding because I'm showing maturity and emotional intelligence and going, my bad, I just turned into a dragon lady is what I call it. That was not you. That was entirely me. I just went back to my previous relationship or my failed engagement or whatever else it might be in my head. And that wasn't about you at all. My bad. I own it. What can I do to repair? Do I need to do anything for us to get back to being good? And he'll be like, we're fine. Like, that was a lot of words. I love you. What are you doing? Right? Because we're so like in the loop in a good way at this point. Yeah. But for many new couples, we were never, ever modeled by our parents or primary caregivers or influential figures growing up, how to have conflict, how to repair from conflict, and how to have an ongoing relationship that involves ups and downs that aren't roller coaster high highs and low lows or silent treatment. And there's many people I've worked with. My parents never fought, and they say it proudly. And I'm like, that's not a good thing.
It's not a good thing. No.
I literally feel like I'm a bobblehead right now. I'm like,
I caught myself doing this. You
right?
know what
I'm just like,
I found also I got okay in my past. If someone had pissed me off and triggered something with me, I'd go, you know what? Click. Then eventually I would get to the point and say, you know what? I'm going to hang up on you. I'm done with this conversation. And then click. I found myself the other day getting upset about something, and it wasn't something he intentionally or even ever did. I took it wrong. I took it the way my fucked up brain took it. And I got mad. And I said, okay, now I'm pissed. You said, let's talk about this. I'm mad. And I said to him, I really want to hang up right now, but I put the phone down and I put my hands away and I'm like, okay, now I just stayed there and we had the conversation and we communicated what he meant, how he didn't mean that, how I felt, what it meant for me. And it was a really healthy conversation. And it was really honestly the first time ever that has ever happened because I've never behaved this way in a relationship.
It's radical ownership, and it's being able, I talk about this a lot. It's based on internal family systems. It's a therapeutic approach. It's parts work. A part of me wants to behave poorly and dramatically and hang up the phone and teach you a lesson or give you an opportunity to act right so I can go back to liking you. And that relates to a different theory I'll talk about in a moment. And then there's another part of me that's mature and realizes I can't do that if I want to have an effective relationship. So can I have some grace and let me try that again? And so that first piece that relates to the parts work is something we talk about in psychoanalysis in object relations theory. And so not a lot of the mumbo jumbo needed past this. We in our life, we relate to different objects, and that's not objectifying people or things, but it's using the wording of that we relate to people better when we perceive them and they perceive us as a good object, as something beneficial, as something nice, congruent that I can see and tolerate and respect. And then when we misbehave, we become bad, we say something about the person that's true that they haven't healed yet, so they get defensive, it turns into feeling like a bad object. This happens with parent-child relationships when we, in the nicest way possible, say you did 20 things lovely when you raised me, and this thing could have been even better. And the parent goes, well, I guess I failed as a parent. Now I'm an asshole. La, la, la. And they get in this defensive state, right? Because
I feel it.
They can't tolerate being seen as a bad object.
Yeah.
They cannot possibly sit with, I can be good and bad at the same time. I can't have this duality. So they inadvertently shift into being the bad object that they feel like they're being blamed that they are. And so this also happens when we're relating to parts of ourselves and our partner, right? We think they're up to no good. We think they've done something intentionally because that's what we do, because we're psycho sometimes and we're super manipulative and we're 20 steps ahead, especially if we're anxiously attached. That's like estrogen on crack. Like, good luck. That's why get a therapist or a coach. And we assume us out of them. And so we go in and act as though they did it intentionally, or act as though they did it for the same reason we did. And that's not true, probably 95% of the time. So slow it down and go be curious, or share like you did. Hey, I'm having a moment, and I label it. My brain makes me want to do this. My heart makes me want to do this. The part of me that's the insecure 13 or 14-year-old who got bullied and cheated on and had a ton of bad stuff happen and chose to let even more bad stuff happen after because I just felt like shit about myself. Yeah. She shows up sometimes, right? And that's my job, my role, to care for her so she doesn't metaphorically bleed on people who didn't cut her. And that's on me. And sometimes she slips out and I have to be like, no. So you just met 14-year-old me. Thanks for caring for her. I'm going to be an adult now. And I've had to say that to my partner at least a few times. And he's like, no problem. Like, just next time, can you just let me know what you want? And I'm like, yeah, no problem. So being more open and owning who you are and not being ashamed of yourself, that's the whole piece that I look at. Is I don't think until I loved myself, I could let somebody else love me, because the level of love I was accepting was inconsistent, was unavailable, was poor connection, because that's all I felt worthy of. And I know it goes all over media, this very contentious debate, like, yes, you don't have to love yourself until other people can love you, 100%. But also you should ask yourself, what's the quality of that love if you're getting in relationships before you really love yourself and have worked on your self-worth? Because you can often see it's indicative of how much you think, how highly or lowly you think of yourself can sometimes be reflected in your partner choice.
Well, you remember at the top of the hour when I said I didn't understand the have to love yourself first? You just addressed what it was internally that I was having an issue with, is that I couldn't love myself. I didn't think I was worthy of this kind of thing. And when I was accepting it from myself is when I found it in another who gave it to me. Yeah. You know, like in my past, a lot of people hurt me with the guise of calling it a joke. I was joking. Oh, you took that bad. You know, I didn't mean it that way. I was joking. Bullshit. You really meant it that way.
It's true.
And my partner was joking with me, and he really was only joking about something else, but I heard it the other way around. So that's how that happened. And I hear that. I catch that in myself.
And sharing with your partner, or anyone who's listening, I've worked with couples on this as well, where their love language is like sarcasm or joshing each other and being playful. And if you grew up in a household where you were exposed to a lot of criticism, either your parents criticized one another, pretty typical, or they criticized you, nothing was ever good enough, and you internalized that to believe you were never going to be good enough. When somebody playfully, genuinely, with no malintent, jokes with you, who do you think shows up? What age are you, right? The scared teenager, the hurt child who felt criticized, and that's who's going to have a reaction. And adult assertive you can come in and share, I know you meant that out of love. I don't think you have any ill intent. Something you need to know about me is I don't filter it the same way you do. Because when you share that, what my brain and heart go to, and you explain what happened in childhood in an owned, reclaimed way, not in a victim stance and not in a defensive, you made me feel, it's, this is what happened to me. I want to share my story with you. Can you keep that in mind and care for me on my behalf in that way in the future? And then you give the person an opportunity to show you, can they or not? And that's how you start to build relational worth and trust as well.
So real quick, we did get a comment from a listener, Phil Kahn. He says, hey guys, do you think some empowered, strong women still secretly want men to play their traditional dominant role? Talia, take it from there.
I think that might be the same comment we touched on earlier, but I can dive in more to it. I do think that dominant role, that is the one we answered earlier, but that dominant role is
all right. Just
you know,
I'm
no,
just here
I think
for
it's
kicks.
a good thing to touch on again, because we talked more about these different mindsets that we have. It's the pregnancy brain. It's okay.
It is.
Yeah.
It's okay.
That feeling of, if I don't feel like a guy's going to come in and provide for me, I'm going to do it myself. And we had a lot of this in the women's movement as well. And I think it was Cher, when her mom asked her, at some interview, her mom asked her, like, oh, are you going to find a rich husband? And she's like, I am my own rich husband. And there's something to be said. I am a very big proponent of women never giving up their financial independence, even if it's a small side business or something. Do not become entirely reliant on another person. And this is even true. Look at how many people are in marketing and business, have a side income, have a side hustle of this, multiple streams of income. We say it normally in business as a way to survive. Why is that converse in a relationship where it's like, oh, let this person be the sole provider? And this is based on, understandably, antiquated ways that society functions. We, because of technology and media, have blown those standards out of the water, and they don't exist anymore the exact way that they did when those narratives could be more true. And so, yes, we become more dominant, either out of, I want to function in this way, I have a stronger masculine drive, I have a certain personality type that makes me a leader or challenger or a go-getter or a perfectionist, so I channel that energy into my career.
Yeah.
We still want to be cared for, and we still want to be in our feminine when it comes to our personal life. And that's where learning how to almost code switch or shift and be more energetically fluid can be very helpful, because my masculine lives at work and owning my businesses and running my companies. And when I'm home, I'm a woman and I'm cared for and I'm in my flow and I'm being. At work, I'm a human doing, and in my personal life, I'm a human being.
That's how
now,
I
a question for you. I feel like, I mean, society has definitely shifted. So it's like, I've been a professional and on my own for many, many years. I'm in my late 30s. So like having to kind of like shift into a different mode, because I've been independent financially, career-wise, and everything like that, to almost like become, like, as my grandmother would say, more pink, more feminine, more pink, more dainty, less blue, as she would say. That's oh my God, it's the truth, because like I can picture though, you know what I mean? Because like I do everything myself, but being with a partner, it's like, I almost like have to like give up part of that to control. Yes, like control, or even just like, like relying on someone else has like been looked at now as like a weakness. I don't want a woman who doesn't do this, blah, blah, blah. But yet, if I do have my own job and career and life and everything like that, it's, well, she doesn't need me. So it's like, there's no like even line.
Well, Gabby, can you mute for a second? Because it's really bad feedback. I'm so sorry, honey. I feel the same way, Gabby. I can relate to that, because after I got my divorce, I was a single mom paying all the bills and being everything for my kids by myself. And so when I found myself starting to date, and men would say, oh my God, you've got all these jobs and you have all these businesses and you are really super busy, when are you going to have time for me? And I said, well, I know how to do that. Don't worry about it. I will be able to be capable of doing that. But they were threatened by it, or didn't understand it and thought I didn't need them, when really I needed them in other ways. So I hopefully that shift is starting to happen for people, especially in a men and women dynamic. Hopefully that starts to happen.
Yeah, there's something to that actually in evolutionary psychology, that men as a provider role, like procreate, protect, provide, are the top three in that order specifically, right? So there's the desire to mate or procreate, or at least attempt to, and then protect, and then provide. Yeah. So if I want to give you provisions, right, or protect you from something, and if I look into your life and you seem to have it kind of on lock, how am I going to do that? Men will look at your life and see if you have everything that you need, they'll exit out. And women get it twisted sometimes and go, well, he was intimidated. We try and boost our own ego for being abandoned or left, for being too good, by saying, well, he couldn't. Don't try and make the equation equal by devaluing either side, right? That's kind of how I teach it. It's they see what you have, and if they can't provide more than that, or they're not in their current lifespan, and if we want to do another episode, we can. If they're not at that stage of development in their life where they see themselves being able to eventually provide what they think that they could fit in, that you don't already have, then they will bow out because they can't win.
Right.
So stop. If you're doing this or you see this pattern happening, it's not about, well, he's this or she's that. Stop trying to devalue to make it equal. It's more about, thank you for gracefully exiting. And if we've had the conversation and you can do it in a calm way that isn't coming across as that aggressive version that's like, well, I'm this and I'm a provider and I'm that. It's like, it's like this CEO measuring, well, I look at how good of a provider I am. We compete with other women typically. Yes, we support now more, but we compete with other women. Men don't want to compete with us. They want to provide for us, and they want us to be squishy and receptive. Is one of the most important traits that delineates if a guy is going to commit to us or not, is our receptivity. And can we receive what they want to provide for us? Or are we still in that wounded, masculine, hyper-functioning, either trauma response, I had to provide for these things all of my life, or had to do this. I never had the opportunity to slow down and receive. That's one type of woman I work with. Or the type who doesn't know what she wants and needs, and therefore can't receive because she's never asked for it or doesn't appreciate when she's given it. And so we look at this, this back and forth, and we really have to analyze, is it intimidation, or did he see that he couldn't win at that and didn't want to waste his precious resources, time, energy, effort, etc. And to boot, we may not have valued it, or we may have been like, well, I could do this, and emasculated him. Why would he stay?
Right. Exactly. Well, Talia, this is the worst part of my time, is when we're out of time. I know. How about we set up another day? We have you back, and we pick up from here. Do like a part 2.
Yeah, sounds great.
I love that. Well, Gabby, folks, just so you know, today is Gabby's last day with us for a while. She's going to go on to having a baby, and she's going to take some time to, sleep and get all squishy and push another human being out of her vajayjay. So we're saying goodbye to Gabby today, but she will be coming back. She better fucking come back. I'll kick her ass. And Talia's coming back. Thank you, Talia, for today. Everyone, thanks for listening and for sticking around and coming back every time. And until next time, keep it real.
If you enjoyed this episode, please share with your friends, like and follow us on Instagram at 50 Shades of _bullshit and Facebook at 50 Shades of Bullshit. Thanks so much for listening, and we really hope to see you again next week.